Hello, Hybrid Theology 2. I'm looking forward to our time together in a few weeks, and until then, we'll have to interact through cyberspace, and that's okay. We'll do that all right. Sorry, I had my music going, but I wanted just to connect with you guys because you will see Dr. Keithley's face over the next few weeks before you see mine, and I wanted to give you just a personal greeting, tell you thank you for taking this class and how excited I am about our time together, and looking forward to your papers and the questions you'll ask in our hybrid weekend. And I also just wanted to take just a few minutes to walk through the syllabus with you and kind of direct you to a couple of things. And I realize that this may not answer all your questions, and that's okay. I would encourage you to get on the Moodle page and ask me some questions through the forum. I think there's a forum set up to ask questions to the professor so that as you're asking me questions, your classmates can benefit from the questions you ask and the answers I provide there. So I think that'd be a good way to keep a conversation going. And so if there's a question about an assignment, about the layout of the syllabus, something like that, we can use that. But before I jump into the syllabus, let me just give you a little bit of introduction about from myself and tell you a little bit about this course, and then we'll go over the syllabus, and that should do us. Again, my name is Keith Whitfield, and I am here at Southeastern teaching full-time and also have some administrative responsibilities at the college. I just finished my PhD, finished that in the fall, so I graduated in December, so this is my first semester without that hanging over my head, and I'm so looking forward to the semester without having to look over my shoulder at a big stack of books that need to be read and all the things that go along with having to wrap that thing up. So looking forward to just having a semester where I can teach and help you guys work through the material and answer your questions and interact with you. I will say that if some of you are nearby and you want to stop by the office or holler at me, we could grab coffee somewhere. I'd love to get to know you personally over the course of this semester. So that gives you a little bit of introduction about me, and let me tell you a little bit about the class. This class is Theology 2. It picks up where Theology 1 drops off. For those of you who've had Theology 1, you know it drops off at the Doctrine of Humanity. So it deals with or theological method issues, the doctrine of Scripture, the doctrine of God, and the doctrine of humanity. Theology 2 picks up with the doctrine of sin, and it will cover the doctrine of sin, the doctrine of Christ, which deals with the person and the work of Christ. And we'll also deal with the doctrine of the Holy Spirit and soteriology, which soteriology is the doctrine of salvation. So that's what we'll be covering this semester, and you will see in your notes or the syllabus that most of the core reading comes from the Aiken book, and there are a couple of weeks that I substitute the Aiken book with the Cross of Christ. And really that's because I didn't want to overwhelm you with reading, but we can't do Theology 2 and not read the Cross of Christ. So we needed to get that in the reading, and that's one way for us to do that. I think you'll enjoy that book. It's very pastoral. It's an exposition of the work of Christ, the atoning work of Christ, and the application of the work of Christ for salvation. And it even deals with some issues with sanctification at the end. I think you'll enjoy the book, and I feel like it's a worthy substitute. Unfortunately, there's a few things in Dr. Aiken's book, The Theology of the Church, that you won't read. And I would encourage you, if you've got the time, to breeze through that material, because there's certainly some things that would be useful and helpful there. And one of those chapters is from Dr. Keithley, which the good news is you will get that material through his lectures, so you'll pick that up. So let's look at the syllabus real quick. I've got them up here on another screen, so if I'm looking up to sort of the right, it looks like I'm looking up into the ceiling. I am sort of, because the screen's just above my head. But let's look at the syllabus. Hopefully you've got that in front of you. You'll see that there's a list of required books and one optional book. The optional book is just a book I think is suggestive. I think it's useful. It's helpful. It's a great book. I could tell you more about that book, but it would be probably provide pretty useful for your Doctrine of Sanctification project. And I think if you've already purchased it, it's probably worth holding on to. If you haven't purchased it, I would encourage you to purchase it and read it at some point. It's a very, very informative book. But the required books are the Theology of the Church from Dr. Akin, and you'll have weekly quizzes on that reading from that book. Those weekly quizzes will comprise about 20% of your final grade. Then you have The Cross of Christ. Then you've got 3 other little books. They're relatively short. The Athanasius book's about 100 pages. Kevin DeYoung's book, Holy or Holiness, is about 100 pages. And David Peterson's book is about 200 pages, but it's 200 pages that will move, excuse me, pretty quickly. And I think you'll enjoy all of those books. They all have their sort of unique perspective on things, and they're all written and very much in a pastoral sort of tone and for a pastoral purpose. So I really think you'll enjoy those books, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in your summaries and reflections on those books. Just a word about the assignments for this class. There'll be a midterm and a final, which you see laid out for you in the syllabus. In addition to that, there are weekly reading quizzes that deal with the Akin book for the most part, and then when I substitute the Akin book for the Stott reading, your quizzes will cover the Stott reading. Let me just say a quick word about the quizzes. There's 2 questions on the quiz every week that comprise about 50 or 60% of the quiz, and that is, have you read all the reading? So up to from the previous quiz till now, are you caught up? And have you attended class? Now, that quiz question is really formulated for those who are in a more traditional context in the classroom and not expressed for the hybrid environment as much, or the online environment. But here's what I want you to do. Listen very carefully. This is what I want you to do. I want you to answer that question on good faith based on the fact, are you caught up with the lectures? So on the Moodle page, I break out when you should listen to what lecture. And so when it comes time to take a quiz, you are going to have a question, have you attended all the classes? And so from the weeks previously, if you've listened to all the lectures, if you're caught up, then you can answer that question yes. Now, if you're behind, then you need to answer that question on your honor accordingly. And so this is one way for me to keep your feet to the fire and staying caught up. It's one way to hold you accountable for your sort of involvement and attendance in the course. So those are the 2 questions that comprise the majority of the quiz. And in addition to that, there's some content-related questions. And those content-related questions will deal with the discussions from the reading. And I think if you read pretty carefully, you should do okay on those. So you have from Monday morning at 7 o'clock till Sunday night at 11 to take the quiz. Let me just say this. It says in the syllabus that you look underneath the quiz, there will be no makeups for the quizzes. Please don't ask. There is I dropped the 2 lowest quizzes. That's standard policy. Everybody's 2 lowest gets dropped. So because of that, if for some reason you get behind in a week, you forget to take a quiz, or that you're out of town or you're overseas on a mission trip or something like that, then you will just have to use that as one of your drops. I've got too many classes, frankly, and if which I've done in the past, have gone back and let people take quizzes that have expired. And that just requires a whole lot of work and keeping up with things, and I'm not going to do that going forward. So I prefer you not to ask, but if you do ask, just expect for me to say no there. So I'm going to have to kind of hold my own feet to the fire on this policy. And I hope you understand that. Then, in addition to the midterm and final and the quiz, there's a writing assignment. The writing assignment is a Theology of Sanctification writing assignment. I give you 5 questions that you can choose from one of those. And this writing assignment is a thesis answer-driven sort of assignment. This is not a research where you're going out and finding out what everybody has said about a particular topic. There's a question, you come up with an answer. that answer is going to require you to do some research, and I want to see that you've done the research, you understand what you've read. But you're going to formulate an answer. You're going to drive home an answer, if you will, with this paper. And so your structure of your argument is going to be critical. You may have to deal with different views in order to demonstrate that you know what you're talking about, and maybe that you evaluate certain views as you settle on the position that you're taking. That's all fine and good, but I don't want I don't want 75-80% of the paper to be what everybody else says, and then the last two pages of the paper to be what you think. I want this to be from the start. This is how I'm answering the question, and you start answering the question and you make your case for it. There's bibliographical expectations, expectations of research. We can talk more about this. If you've got questions, you can shoot me emails, or even this would be a great thing to do in the faculty the forum to the professor, so that your fellow students can lean in, listen in to your question and my answer, and they get benefit from that. So that's the theological writing assignment. Both the college and the seminary both have this paper. The length of the papers are different. And the final assignment, let me say, you'll want to pick a question and do a little work prior to the hybrid weekend, because our hybrid weekend will deal some with your questions. The final assignment is an interactive book summary of 3 books. The seminary and the college sections have different requirements for these books. If you've had me before, you know kind of what this is all about. The seminary section, you have 3 pieces to your book summary and evaluation. The summary of the book, I want a half page. Cut to it. Tell me exactly what the book's about. Do it in the shortest words you can. Tell me why the author wrote what he wrote, and what he wrote, and where he landed. So I want you to be able to summarize the book in about a half a page. And then I want you to do a doctrinal analysis. I want you to take note of all the doctrines that the author brings to bear on its conversation and his treatment of whatever he is talking about. And I want you to think about how these doctrines fit into his larger argument, and how these doctrines inform what he's doing. I think you want to ask the question: would I say more? Would I say less? Do I think he's rightly applied the doctrine? So this is a doctrinal analysis. And then the final section of this book summary is you raise for the seminary. You raise 5 questions, and those 5 questions that you raise, I want you to give an answer. So this is a time for you to do some reflection. So you raise the question, and then you seek to answer it. And then on the college section, I give you 5 questions that I want you to answer for each book. Take whatever space you need to answer those questions. You'll be evaluated on this assignment, seminary and college level, based on the fact that you convinced me that you've read the book, you've read it carefully, and that you did some good reflection on the book. So that's what you need to be thinking about when you think about how much do I need to write. Think about what do I need to say. You need to think about how do I convince him that I've read the book, I've read it carefully, and that you've done some reflection on the book. And then the final part of your grade will be the hybrid weekend. Hybrid weekend makes up about 9% of your final grade. So that's the semester. It looks like, let me just check here, your midterm and your final are 15% of your final grade. So a total of 30%. Your quizzes are 20. So your quizzes are almost your midterm and final, and then 9% for your hybrid weekend, 20% for your paper, and 21% for the book summary. So that's how that's spread out, of course, for your grade. The syllabus has your due dates and everything in it. I think the syllabus and the Moodle page are fit together pretty well. I don't think there's any inconsistencies. If you see something, you'll let me know. Make sure you do this. Make sure you pull down the most recent syllabus. As of like end of last week, maybe even over the weekend, I updated the syllabus. So make sure you pull down the most recent syllabus, and that'll make sure that you've got the right course schedule and the right description of things that you need. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email through the professor forum. Every week I will give you an overview of the week that will give you an opportunity to kind of get a snapshot of what you need to do that week, as well as there'll be opportunities for you to do some interaction with one another. There'll be some discussion boards popping up here or there along the way, so I want you to tune in there, and that will play a role in your hybrid weekend as well, your grade, that is. So, have any questions, let me know. Look forward to getting to know each of you as I can, and look forward to the hybrid weekend. Let me know if you've got any questions, and please use the Ask the Professor forum piece in the Moodle page, and that way your classmates can listen in to our conversation and your questions will benefit them. Bye for now.